guy came and told me, no, young man, you're not supposed to be here. You have a place in the university, you have attained the required grade, so I think you need to go to the university. So what happened was he asked me to apply for higher education loans, both loan, get some money. So because I had done a lot then, I was a leader in the community, leading the youth. I would always be the secretary in a lot of meetings that would have many meetings so far. It's quite a lot. So I asked the community to see if they can assist me get to the university. So they did a harambe for me and two other guys, because they would say, now that you're at Turkana and the larger community here is Samburu, then we have El Molos, we have Rendiles. So it might not be possible for you to be granted the opportunity to get enough money. So what we do is we must bring another Samburu student or somebody else to join you in this harambe. So that's what happened. So I accepted because I wanted. So we raised a figure that I think gave us 150,000 each. That would be, of course, only one academic year's fee in the university. But I was so grateful. So when we got the money, it was shared equally. By 2012 May, I had already secured an admission. I didn't want to become a teacher of English and literature. I wanted to be a journalist actually. But because there was the need that I had seen in the school, and I was promised if I go to teaching, and specifically English and literature, then you would be the only teacher to come and teach in this school. So that's how I went for English and literature combination at the university. So when I joined, it was culture shock. The current culture shock that I would hear people talk of is what I suffered.
When you say you learned the aspect of joining university from an outreach program from Kenyatta University,
Yes, yes.
were they student leaders? Who were they?
Oh, sorry. They were actually, I think I wouldn't remember what the real translation is, or rather what the abbreviation stand for, but they call themselves KUSU, Kenyatta University Christian Union, I think is the term they use.
You are at the university and you're talking about culture shock. What is this that you found quite fascinating now that you call it culture shock? Maybe you could tell us in 1 minute.
I don't think it would be in a minute, but let me tell you, just to reiterate about.
It's okay, it's okay.
The first culture issue I had was to do with the distance and town. By the year 2011 and 2012, let's say 2012 April, the only town that I had managed to set my feet on was Nanyuki town. So traveling from Loyangalani to Nairobi would take approximately 2.5 days to get to Nairobi. So this is what I have happened. So I left Loyangalani, spent at Marsabit, then from Marsabit, I left for Nairobi. No, for Isiolo. I spent at Isiolo, and then from Isiolo, I took another bus to Nairobi. So when this bus reached Nanyuki, my friend, and what happened was this: I left my seat and came to stand by the door of the bus, asking the conductor to drop me at Kenyatta University. You know where Nanyuki is, and you know where Nairobi is. So this guy would tell me, actually, it's not yet there. We are not yet there. Just go take a seat, and I wouldn't agree with him. I wouldn't really accept. So I stood there for almost 3.5 hours because I was so adamant, because I thought these guys are dropping me elsewhere and that would be a problem. Remember, my only contact at Kenyatta University was that guy known as Anthony Munyao, one of those students who had come. That is the only person I knew at Kenyatta University. And he was the only person we were having contact. So from Nanyuki to Nairobi, I stood by the door until when the bus reached Kenyatta University. So that is the first thing. Now, the other thing was this. I didn't have a bank account. So I was given 150,000 and I was carrying this money in my bank the entire time. So 150,000 in my bag, and I didn't have an account. The only thing was I had a kabambe. I don't know whether I knew anything about M-Pesa or so on, but that was it. So the money would be there anytime I leave or I move out, I would carry my bag. So 150 was in my bag. Even when I go to Kenyatta University, that is the same thing that happened. So getting to the university now, this at least this guy would was then a graduate actually. He had completed school because he had come back in 2011. So in 2012, by 2012 he had already left school, but he had a brother who was taking another course there. Remember, so that would be the person this guy would be asking, go and meet Mr. X, Mr. Tioko at the university city clock, because that was the only thing that I did. So I walked in and then stood there, said, I can only see a big clock here. So I was told to stop there. So whoever came was not the guy I knew, but the brother. So the other thing was now history. So getting to a class where people would wear, short skirts, boys would have unkempt hair and so on, to me was very shocking. So in fact, any lady asking me to share my number with her would be my enemy then. That was the first thing. Like, a lady, why would you ask me for my number? Or if a lady tells me, hi, you're so cute, you're tall, dark, and handsome, then I would shy, run away. In fact, I just leave there and avoid that person for the rest of the semester. So, so in terms of the relationship sort of a thing, I really suffered the very first 2 semesters.
I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
I find this quite fascinating, and maybe my viewers, our viewers outside there, and our listeners would find it quite funny. We are so much accustomed to the Turkana culture, where boys get to learn about their masculinity somehow earlier than their girl counterparts, and you find that these Morans, all the warriors, tend to pick their suitors from among the girls. I don't know much about it, but that's what we got accustomed to. And I'm anticipating that by the time you are training in university, you could have understood this aspect of love relationships, because in the Turkana culture, actually, masculinity leans more than femininity. So what was wrong from your side? Like, why was it that you didn't like girls interacting with you when back in the village? Actually, if you never went to school, by that time you could have married.
My friend, thank you. The first thing that is this: at the village, a lot is said about university and university ladies.
Okay.
A lot would be said about HIV, AIDS, and the other diseases that are there. So that is the mentality I walked in with. But again, my Loyangalani girls and ladies are well dressed. They are very shy. They never come to you direct. In fact, you go for them. So when I came to Kenyatta University and people would be telling me, hi, how are you? Hey, you look so deaf and so on. And by the way, I would like to talk with you later on. Would you share your phone number, or can we go to annex and so on? So those are things that I take. So in terms of masculinity, I would say yes, we are the ones who are advanced. But what we do is we approach ladies. we go for them, we discuss and share. I need to mention something again, that a girl at the university or any person that has gone to school in a community, if it is a lady actually, we would always consider that person as actually a he in terms of what she has attained. So we would consider the person like man, like in a way. So that is the concept that I came in with.
Okay. Now you are at the university, you're getting the culture shock, you have applied for help, and so what happens? Did you complete your university? And how did you complete
If,
it?
if there is one thing that does exist, is that there is a living God.
Okay.
I happened to complete school, but the story was different. The story was still a hard one, because I remember I told you that I only had 150,000, then that would cover partially an academic year, almost an academic year, but some money would still be required. So one institution that I would really love is the help. And the other thing that I would also laud is CDF, the Constituency Development Fund, and the hard work in the pastoralist child. So how I managed to complete was this, that every time we close, I ran immediately back to my high school then and teach, so that I could raise money to top up for the fee and also pay for my house rent and so on. May I tell you that parents from Turkana only get to learn about you when you complete university. In fact, these are the time they are only very happy. They would say that my child is schooling in the big school. The word university never has a direct translation. Even if Kiswahili says chuo kikuu. So he or she is in a big school and so on. So they would not much really think of how you feed, what you use, and so on. So that was my life. So, but when joining university, the parents were not anywhere around. They were not anywhere to be assisting me and so on. So what I did was, after completing the semester, I would run back to high school, teach, and then back then I would go for every NGO interview asking me to do data collection exercise or data enumeration, and would emerge as the first one. I don't know how that worked, but every time I would say, God, you know what I'm going through, so lead my ways. So that is how I managed to raise my fees. So every time I left, I would go back to high school, and then my head teacher was very good. He would tell me, anytime you learn of short tell me you're going, so that you cover your lessons before that time comes, and go do that and then come back. So that is what happened. But in terms of managing these finances, I would still retain my home's culture of feeding one meal a day. That was supper only. So to us, we know supper is the only meal. So from first year to third year, that was my story. Like, I take supper, then the rest of the day I would take water. So when the group work members would say, let's go for lunch, I would tell them I want to pick a book at the library. So that was my escape route. So every time they go for lunch, I run to the library, and that is it. So from first year to that year, that was the issue. At that year, a friend sister came in who was also taking a course I was taking, that is English and literature. So because we were in choir, singing, and doing the evangelical work at Kenyatta University Catholic Community, this sister would be fascinated by how I live. Like, every time when others go for lunch, I would sit around Science Zone 39 area or at Zone area to just do my studies. So she came, she was partial, I think they would say a half caste in our present day language, of a Teso and a Luya. So Teso and Turkana's friends. Let me say we belong to the same clan in the origin story. So this sister would then learn my story, and she would make sure every time she comes to school and we're having a class, she carries a banana and some biscuits. Sister would then also learn that I was having some stomach ulcers issues because I wouldn't be taking anything. So when others go for lunch, she would ask me to come and then hand that to me. At first, I would not agree, but she told me, "You take, I know what you're going through." So, Shamil, now from I think third year, the second semester, I now started living like a university student because I would take. So the sister's name is Sister Noreen Barasa.
Wow.
She's a Franciscan sister. So I would really loud her. So the other times, this is what she would do. So when she goes for shopping, would ask me, "Yoko, come and assist me. I want to go to Magunas." So when we go to Magunas, sister would ask us to take like 2 trays. So I would hold 2 trays as she walks around. So she picks, let's say if it is a bundle of unga, so put one in one of the tray and another one in the other. So when we get to where she lived, she would now tell me, "This bundle is going to be yours. This other one now is mine." That would amaze me.
Wow.
So again, that is how I maneuvered that storyline of having the issues. The other thing that I did not allow to just happen was to fail in the university.
Wow.
So I really worked hard, and in the end, I scored. I got a first class
Wow.
among a class of I think 830 people. So the only one who did the first class, and I thought God had a way of communicating to me that you had a very bad beginning, but you're going to excel.
Wow. Wow, that's great. Yoko, I'm amazed. You transited from a B minor in secondary to schooling of first class at Kenyatta University. What was keeping you going? Like, what is this thing that kept you so determined in this studies? Like, you can say there's that one thing that pushed me towards this first class.
Wow, I think thank you. That is the question that I would say is a well-crafted one because many people don't ask such a question.
Oh.
What made me work hard was this: the load of problems that I carried.
Oh.
I knew I was the only one from a family of 7 that has the opportunity to be in school. So it actually meant if I would excel, then they have also excelled. That was one. Number two, still the load of the community that I had. These guys have fewer people who have really gone to the university level and excelled. So again, that would be my issue. I had a third issue, I think, which is my mantra. That because I suffered while I was that young and I saw relatives also suffer and so on, I said, because a relative gave me the opportunity to join a university, or no, actually primary school, I would want to make sure that none of my relatives suffers in the future. So I would say my problems, the issues I was going through, is what actually pushed me to getting where I wanted to.
Oh my God, that's wonderful. What after your undergraduate studies? What happened?
What really happened is this: that while at the university, I also had friends, and I would want to applaud some of them. One of them being Dedan Onyango, my great friend,
No.
Boniface Kagiri, Sister Noreen, and Sanamwala Sirote, and a number of them. I had very good friends. So what happened was this: while at the university, back then taking the undergraduate degree, my friend Dedan and I would share a lot. So he would ask me, what would you want to do when you complete school? So I told him I want to come back for a master's. And we even talk about the universities that we would want to join. So every time we joke, I will tell my brother, I want to go to Oxford University. By the way, it's still a dream. I want to go to Oxford University, while he tells me, no, I would want to go to Harvard or Cambridge and so on. So we kept on that way. So when I completed, of course, there was the idea of you have a first class and you want to go back home and wrote with that first class at home. So I began to come back for a master's. So my friend Dedan got an opportunity before me. Although we had different qualifications that were completed, but he was a very smart guy. So he got an opportunity to join, to get a scholarship with, I think, KAAD. So when he got the opportunity, he would be roaming around university, Kenyatta University. I disappeared for 1 year, although I got the admission back to Kenyatta University that year of 2016 when I completed. Then I disappeared for a year to go work hard and raise enough money to come and facilitate or sponsor my master's study. So my friend learned of a Kenyatta University OFES scholarship for master's, even postgraduate scholarship. So he told me, my brother, yes, there is something here that I think you would try, and because you really qualified, you can come and try this. And then it was during this very bad and turbulent time of elections. We had just come from elections, and then there were court, sessions going on and everything. So when he told me that, there was also something that Dedan had asked me previously. If KU gave you a scholarship, would you take? In fact, I told him I would prefer to go for a KU scholarship than any other scholarship. I don't know what really, made me to say that, but I kept on saying, if I get a first class and they give me the scholarship, I would take. So I came, applied for this scholarship, and Dedan would be my host. My friend would be my host for almost a week. I think 2 weeks that I was in Nairobi, then he would be my host. So I got that. Eventually, I got the scholarship. And Kenyatta University offered to pay my tuition fee. The entire tuition fee was covered. So I would only raise the administrative fee, which God had actually worked in another way on how I would raise that. Because Marsabit scholarship was again right then it was working. I was asked to apply for the Marsabit scholarship as one of the most genius guys in the county. So when I applied, they gave me a bursary of 100,000.
Wow.
So these 100,000 would now cover my administration school fees, while the other tuition fee is covered by Kenyatta University. So my sister, that is how I managed to get to a master's class in Kenyatta University.
Wow.
So what I applied for, because I forgot to indicate that, was I came back for English and linguistics course, masters in English and linguistics. So because I think I love the area of linguistics so much that I didn't want to lose it that early.
I want my viewers to get this. I'm seated here and I'm like, how many of my friends could actually call me for an opportunity? Like an opportunity that is entirely meant to build me, and they have nothing at all to benefit from that. I'm seated here and I'm trying to figure out the kind of person that your friend Didani is, that calling you for an opportunity, that there's an opportunity here, come and apply, I'm going to host. Like, this is a challenge. I think it's a very big challenge to even the viewers who are listening to this. How many of your friends can actually or who is that particular friend who, even a family member, forget about even a friend, even a family member who can actually call you and tell you, you know what, Shamir, there's an opportunity here, you need to feel it, and then you just come, I will host you, and then they host you without any strings attached, like you will have to provide for food, you will have to do this. I think it's a big shout out to such friends, and from CSTV, it's a shout out to Dayton for actually have helped your friend to reach where is today by ensuring that I actually applied for a master's scholarship. So Tioko, you have joined your master's, and I think master's takes 2 years. I don't know how many years you took. What did you complete your master's, and what after completing your master's, where are you today, and what exactly can you tell a few who is listening to you outside there?
Well, thank you for that. Indeed, I'm so grateful for having a friend Dedan. And I think what had pushed Dedan to do that, we really lived as these good friends. And we celebrated each other's success any other time. We did a lot together, nasty and sweet things. So, and in a way also, Nilots have a way of living, they would live like in the communal aspect. So that is one thing that I tried my friend to, kind of adopt. And thank you. How I joined university and what happened. I joined my university back then in the year 2017, around October. October, yes. After now securing the KU scholarship, that is a year after I had secured an admission at Kenyatta University. So what basically happened was I joined around that time, and then there was the dawn strike. So when a strike ensued, nothing happened. So I went back home and came back in January 2018. So January 2018. So I would like to tell the people who are prospecting to take a master's degree that it is very possible. In fact, I decided to go for the thesis option. I took my first 2 coursework semester, that is from January to April, then from around May to August. So I did that. On July the same year, that is 2018, when I was almost completing my master's, I had a topic, presented a topic, and I took 1 month to come up with a proposal. Around the month of August is when I was writing my proposal and doing the reviews. So September, I submitted it to the department. The department came back with news that I need to defend it. I defended that in October the same year. So almost a lot had been achieved within that very first year of my master's studies. So I went ahead to do my research in 2019. So by actually October of 2019, I had already completed everything that was required of me. I had presented my work to Kenyatta University for marking and so on. So I would say I achieved that in only 2 years, but something happened. So while still waiting for the feedback to come back from the university, COVID-19 came around January. I was still waiting to see if I would be asked to go and defend now at the university graduate school. So by around February, March, I was already anticipating of now the following year. I didn't receive news. So from October, when I submitted, to around March, I was like, so what is not happening? Of course, being a thesis, you will be told, man, it's very patient. This thing is marked by some internal examiner, but still it has external examiners who might not be teachers or tutors at the university. So I would then wait. So when COVID-19 came, I think that is my worst year. because what I'd wanted to achieve didn't happen. So the same thesis info would not be relayed to me the entire year. Up to around August is when I was told. So it's like a year and some 2 months is when I would hear of the news that, Tioko, you are supposed to come and defend your MA thesis. So I defended my thesis around September, then did my corrections in like 2 weeks' time, completed and graduated. Of course, I wouldn't make it to the December one because that again would take a process. So I had to wait for July 2021 when I graduated with a master's in English and linguistics. So 3 years is what I used. COVID-19 took the other 1 year.
Wow.
So I would say the entire time then would be 3 years, but my actual time was about 1 year and 8 months.
And Miss Tioko, I'm seated here as an individual who has gone through the process and who has seen some other students and go through the same process. You're saying you did your postgraduate, that's your master's, within exactly 2 years. Within the first year, actually, you had done your coursework that takes 6 months, and then you had written your proposal, defended it, and you are even ready to go and collect data. But we know that we have students who have done their masters for 7 years. We know people have done their masters for 7 to 8 years. Even after the 7th year, they have not even done the second defense of their proposals. So what is this that you did differently?
Determination is what I had. Determination is what keeps you moving. Determination is what makes you achieve your goal. So I still had this urge that I have been given an opportunity, a rare opportunity indeed, by my family members, and then Kenyatta University has really honored this by granting me the opportunity to achieve that which most of us don't make in life. I forfeited a lot, so I would say determination is the most important thing. But again, there is also the other aspect of sacrifice. Sacrifice is very important. At that moment, there are jobs that come in, so therefore you would want to go try a job. At that moment, family would come in, so therefore you would also want to try a family, and a lot will be pulling you aside. So if you can sacrifice most of the time, a lot that you yearn to get in life, you would complete. So be determined, stay on course, work very well with your lecturers because the supervisors may also matter. So if you work hard, like if you do your maybe a write-up in 2 weeks and then you send to them and then they send the feedback, when you return immediately, then they would see that you're very determined and wishing to complete. So I would say just determination and perhaps a bit of sacrifice.
Okay. And you say, now that you spoke about family, after like you say that family came, you have to sacrifice and you focus on your studies. Jobs came, you have to sacrifice. How were you able to compensate? Yes, you graduated the other day, but how were you able to compensate maybe of the sacrifices that you made during your study time? Where are you today? And what is this one message that do you have for the young men and women outside there who actually come from families, not necessarily from the northern part of Kenya, because we have young men and women who come from families actually that are scripted with violence, scripted with lack of resources, scripted with lack of even parental support towards education. What is this one thing that you can tell any student or any young man or woman outside there from such family?
Well, I would actually say that education is not really a primary need as such, by the way, according to Maslow hierarchy of need. Remember, education comes to secondary. But the moment you learn that education is what equals you with a person from another social class, then you would consider it as your primary need, one of your primary needs. So perhaps my message to the children, young ladies and men who come from families that we share stories, in fact, those that even come from abhorrible conditions, maybe you need to think about education. Is it one thing that would equal you with that other person that has the same opportunity to excel but cannot, or that who has well able parent has very suitable conditions to help him or her get where he's supposed to be, or business or the monarchies that do exist in Africa and across the world. So I would ask them or challenge them to just think about education and view it as one of the most equating factors that we can have. So in terms of families and how I compensated, I told you from the beginning that there is a living God. And when God sees your determination, he'll never leave you, just to wander off. So I live in a very funny way. So I came to Nairobi now. At that moment, I would come to Nairobi, but I would never lack a job to do. And these jobs that I would do were never jobs that take me away from Kenyatta University or so on. So one of my lecturers had the opportunity to be working as a transcriptionist in one of the major companies. I think one of the main companies that works or does a lot in transcription. So he would actually challenge me to go ahead and try doing some transcription work. A friend also recommended me to one of the research firms that we have in the country, so that when they would be having some 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 works or some research activities, I would be involved. So in terms of jobs, again, I was lured to take a teacher service commission job, I think 3 times, in 2018, 2019, 2020, 3 times. And one of the school that wanted me was my school back then at home. So, but I'll just turn it down. So I would think of it this way now. If I go ahead and pick this, where would my goal be? Where would my dream be? Would I just finish it here, or what happens? So I said I would still survive, and I am still surviving. I'm still meeting the needs. I'm still sponsoring and supporting my family members who have enlisted some different schools. In terms of family and my own family, I had also vowed, because I was just a young man, and though from a culture that requires everyone to marry immediately, I accepted the brand of a senior bachelor for quite a while. Senior bachelor to us is a guy whose age mates have actually married, but he's still holding on not to marry. So I knew that, well, though families make us excel most of the time, I would say I would just uh, defy it a little until when I'm done with my master's. So what happened was that when I completed my master's and I had said I would do that after I'm done with my master's, I knew I am, first of all, mentally prepared to handle the difficulties and the challenges, or the happiness that comes with marriage life. So currently, I would gladly say I'm married to one wife and one child.
Wow. Wow. I am just seeing a life more of a movie. I don't know what to say about this, but it is a life that is scripted with sadness and at the past, but a life that ends in joy. And my dear viewers, the guy we're talking about here challenges me in English. He speaks, I say, British English. Is very particular when it comes to English and where you put your words. If I think he was to act in the Mark Angel comedy in Nigeria, he could take the role of success and be telling us, if you don't know how to speak English, please don't speak it at all. So he's one guy that actually speaks quite good English. And allow me to let you know that actually he does very good editorial services. I don't know why it's not spoken about this, but he does very nice editorial services. And I will give him this last chance to sorry, to tell us more about his editorial services. And if you needed his services, my first comment, I will actually pin his number and his company for the same if you will need his services. So Tioko, as we complete the show, kindly tell us more about your editorial services, so that the members or the viewers can get to know what you offer.
Okay. Thank you, and really sorry. When you do a lot for survival, in fact, sometimes there are things that you just forget, or rather consider them as not really the biggest way in which you make your living. But yes, indeed, I do a lot. First of all, I am a tutor currently at Learning and Testing Services. And I coach students who wish to take the exams that we call the international sort of exams, specifically those that are of English type. I particularly disassociate myself with math because I'm not a good mathematician. So if you want to take international English language testing system test, that is IELTS test, and you wish to perhaps know how that exams look like, you want to practice well with online physical, you can get to me. So IELTS. The other one is test of English as a foreign language, that is TOEFL. TOEFL that most of the universities from the United States of America require. So again, that is an English test. So you would take an English test that encompasses speaking, listening, reading, and writing. So again, I do help that on consultation basis as just a consulting tutor with a firm called Learning and Testing Services of East Africa. The other thing that I do part-time is that I'm also a part-time lecturer at Kiriri University of Science and Technology, based around Wihoko area. Actually, it will be in Wihoko. And right there, I'm a tutor of English and linguistics. So I've had very many students, and I'm happy to be a tutor. The other thing that I do for a living, of course, is that I am an editor. As an editor, I edit manuscripts. So if you want to publish a paper and you're not sure of, how that looks like or what should happen, so you can consult me. So part of manuscripts, editorial manuscripts, those that you wish to perhaps hand over to publishing agencies. As I said, I also edit books. Maybe if you have a novel, if you have maybe a subject, sort of a textbook that you want to publish, you can also get to me. The other thing, the thesis part of it. So most students would, of course, have good ideas. They would write, they would analyze. But when it comes to language area, and we say in editing, there is never a perfect document as such. So if you bring it to me, I'll be able to perhaps highlight some of the issues. So if you have anything in linguistics or in social science fields, or just bring it on. And of course, I am really prospecting while this young. So I'm still searching for opportunities, whether through scholarship to take me abroad or even in the country, I can have become a real expert and impact more. Uh, um, in my community.
Thank you so much, Tioko. My dear viewers, as you can see, Tioko is a whole package in a number of ways. He not only offers tutor services. So for those people who actually want to apply for scholarships in US, or want to join universities in the US, and you want to do the TOEFL exams, I think you have the right person here. I'm going to pin his number and his services so that you can be able to reach out to him. Or if you have a scholarship opportunity for a PhD for this young man, kindly, let's make his dream come true. Because honestly, moving from a village hard boy to be a tutor and an editor in Nairobi, it's such easy given the hurdles that he had to overcome. So please, let's make his dream of a PhD a reality for those individuals outside there who knows that you can get a scholarship, or you have a scholarship opportunity somewhere, or even a fellowship that he can use towards his PhD. Kindly, you can reach out to Tioko. Otherwise, I want to say thank you so much, Tioko, for coming on board. And thank you so much for sharing your story. It is a very inspiring story. And from the CSTV Kenya, we say thank you so much. And it's our hope that your dream of a doctorate will come true soonest. Asante sana.
Thank you, Kathleen, for the opportunity.
Okay.
English and linguistics is my prospecting area in PhD. So if you have any opportunity, I am not personally engaged in a formal employment as well. So if you have anything that can compensate my good stature, I would really appreciate. So thank you for the opportunity, and may God bless CSTV series. Thanks.
Asante sana. And my dear viewers, kindly subscribe and share this video. Kindly, I'm begging you, subscribe.